Hi, welcome back to Celebrating Culture. We're here today at Metairie Cemetery, and I'm with Father Damian Zablocki. Father, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
How long have you been in New Orleans?
I moved here in 2013.
You're not Italian descent yourself.
No, I'm not, no.
But you have embraced Italian culture.
The familial aspect of the Italian culture, I think it's really desirable now in the world because the breakdown of families, and there's a lot of loneliness in the world, so Italians never let you be lonely.
You came here, and one of the things you're very active with is St. Joseph's Day, the Beauregard-Keyes altar. Tell me about that one.
So they wanted to start a St. Joseph altar and have it blessed. They set up this beautiful altar and came and blessed the altar, and then it's gradually gotten bigger.
You also went to Houmas House recently.
Yeah.
The energy for altars is still strong.
It is. We had the St. Joseph altar in New Jersey. It was nothing like what you have in New Orleans. And it's sad because where we had visited in Sicily, we were told that it was not celebrated so much anymore. But here in Louisiana, especially in New Orleans, it is, I think, one of the most beautiful traditions and most beautiful devotions to St. Joseph, the altars here.
Lisa and the Elenians did a great job with that altar. That was a beautiful altar there.
I think that was one of the most interesting altars that I blessed was at Houmas House. I had not known the story of the Italians who were working in the fields here, whether they were picking cotton, and also to all of the people who have died and who have lived in these places and who have suffered.
In the 1890s, many Sicilians, especially from Contessa Antolina, left New Orleans and ended up in Los Angeles. I went to the Italian-American Museum of Los Angeles and met with Executive Director Marianna Gatto. She did a great display of the Italian St. Joseph altar, which they call a St. Joseph table.
I'm eternally envious of the St. Joseph's altars in New Orleans. I think they're the loveliest in the nation. We opened this exhibition about St. Joseph's tables, which is what we call them here in Los Angeles. This exhibition examines the history of this tradition, dating back to its origins in Sicily and how Italian immigrants brought it to the United States and how we continue to carry it on today across the nation, including in New Orleans. Because the Feast of St. Joseph takes place during Lent, all the dishes placed on the table are meatless. The St. Joseph breads, I feel, are just the most fascinating parts of the altars. We were lucky enough to receive contributions from bakers all over the country. Di Camillo Bakery in New York provided many of these breads that you see here. You'll notice that they take many symbolic shapes, from the Bambino Gesù, or the baby Jesus, to a fish, Jesus being the fisher of men, and St. Joseph's sandals. The Holy Family in the early days were refugees. They fled their homeland. King Herod had ordered the killing of all male children under the age of 2 in what was known as the Massacre of the Innocents.
In the corner over there, you have a display on how St. Joseph is the patron saint of real estate agents.
Real estate agents and home buyers.
In fact, my mom once sent me a statue of St. Joseph to plant in my front yard to help me sell my home.
He's considered the catch-all saint. He's the patron saint of expectant mothers, of immigrants, of refugees, craftspeople, of carpenters. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Father, tell me about Irene's.
So Irene's is a restaurant run by a Sicilian family in the French Quarter. I always imagined it as the Vatican of restaurants because of all of the religious people coming in and out, and because it actually has shrines built in it.
That altar is just amazing.
I posted a picture of myself blessing the altar, and I was supposed to have dinner with some people the next day after that, and they were mad at me because they thought I was in Europe, the way it was set up and decorated in the St. Joseph room of her restaurant. So it was so opulent and it's so solemnly decorated that it looks like a chapel of an old castle or an old manor. I believe it's one of the most beautiful altars, if not the most beautiful altar I've seen in New Orleans. I think it's the heart that's put into it, the passion that's put into it, that the waiters and waitresses there put into it. The whole family adds to it there, and that you have food being cooked that has been passed down from generation to generation.
Also, the seminarians sing there.
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
So I arranged that. We decided to go over the top, and I said, what do you think of this? And Irene said, that's a wonderful idea, a couple of years ago. And so they started coming every year. She makes a big table outside for them and feeds them all. It adds to the solemnity of it and the beauty of it.
She personally has a strong calling to keep the faith alive. What do you think that drives her so much?
I always say, Irene, you're strong. She said, no, I'm passionate. So it's her passion for her faith, for what God's called her to do, for her family, and for her heritage. I think the faith is the thing that drives her the most, though.
And that restaurant is beautiful.
I spend a lot of time there. My cassock got tighter as I spent more time there.
Also, Brocatos, they do an altar as well.
You can't get rid of who you are or where you came from. I think the Brocatos have always embraced that. A lot of the Italians here, they have such deep devotion, not only to their history and their culture, but also to the saints who have been, St. Joseph especially, who's interceded for them. I don't think they can imagine their lives or their businesses without St. Joseph. So Brocato's, the wonderful dessert place there, also celebrates St. Joseph. All of the food that they have there, it's old world there too, even though it's not in the French Quarter anymore.
And for COVID, they actually moved their altar to the windows.
They moved it there so that people could venerate St. Joseph and still see this beautiful tradition.
Hi, my name is Arthur Brocato. I operate Angelo Brocato's Ice Cream and Confections in New Orleans with my family. We've been doing this for over 111 years. We make Italian pastries, biscotti, gelato, spumoni, cassata, cannoli. My family came from Cefalù in Sicily when the Great Migration in early 1900s, and we've been in New Orleans ever since. We're celebrating St. Joseph's Day, March 19th, with an altar that we've been doing since at least the last 60 or 70 years. When we were down in the French Quarter, my grandparents did a huge St. Joseph's altar with all the foods and breads and cakes and pastries. With the older people gone, it's a very difficult job to continue, but we need to continue our traditions. So we still do it on a much smaller scale with cakes and breads and pastries and cookies. We have certain things of Sicilian origin, the pupaculogos, which is biscotti with the egg. The egg is cooked in there. It's used in Sicily for Easter, and since St. Joseph's Day always falls on in the Easter season, this is always included on the St. Joseph's altar. Another item, St. Lucy was a patron in Sicily, but they always add the St. Lucy's eyes made out of fig, and that's always included on the St. Joseph altar as well. St. Joseph's Day is always a very busy day. People come out, Italians as well as non-Italians, to visit St. Joseph's altars and to celebrate in the feast. It's a feast of the family.
The history of St. Joseph being passed on generation to generation just shows the intensity and passion to working hard and getting through tough times.
And I think it's a very big miracle, something with a lot of grace, that you could enter into a restaurant or into somebody's business and you could meet a saint and God face to face. And I think that's a reality that can never be wiped out of the hearts of the people here, especially the Italian community, because of the devotion of the Italians to their patron.
Well, Father, I want to thank you for being on the show.
so much.
And thank you for all you've brought to New Orleans, the blessings. St. Joseph altars, I feel that there's a resurgence that is strong.
St. Joseph is a wonderful patron, and they can't deny that, and they don't, and they're spreading it, and it should grow again. We need St. Joseph.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more of Celebrating Culture.